friends, and welcome to the Truth Booth and to Ask Me Tuesdays, where you write in questions that I will just randomly answer for you. Once again, these are just my opinions, just things that I want to share from an older woman's perspective, and hopefully it will be helpful and encouraging to you. So I have drawn out a question out of our little pot, and let's see what it says. How do I successfully juggle all my responsibilities? Family, work, friends, church, me. That's a question I have been asked over and over again over the years. Good question. And several of you wrote that question in, actually. I only put it in the pot once, but I do know it was asked several times. And wow, there's so many answers to that, but in our short little amount of time here, let me just hopefully encourage you with that. Number one, I think that this is something you're going to be asking yourself for the rest of your life. All through my life, especially when I was younger, I kept thinking if I just get to this certain point, my life is going to fall together a whole lot easier, and I'm not going to have this struggle with where do I spend my time, how do I keep a hold of my responsibilities, how do I know that I'm doing the best that I can with all the things that I am juggling. Well, unfortunately, I would say, or fortunately maybe, I would say that that question never really goes away. I think that it seems more pressing at certain times in our lives, but really it's a question we should always be asking ourselves, if we are being faithful to what we believe is where we should be spending our time and how much time we should be spending in these other places. So I think it was more stressful for me when I was a young mom at home with kids and all kinds of responsibilities. But I can't say that I've stopped asking myself that question. So I think it's a healthy question to keep asking yourself, because you kind of want to always be bringing your life back to what you know is most important. What is God dictated in your life that is most important? Because a lot of the things that we think are important are because of what other people maybe have put on our plate, or our own struggle with what people are going to think about us, or just feeling like we can't say no to people, or just giving ourselves in too many areas because there's so many things we want to do that we say yes to too many things, even though we love them all. I think that goes on in our life unless we are a hermit living by ourselves somewhere and not responsible for anything. And I think it's a good question to keep asking. I think that if you're married, you should be asking this question together and constantly be talking about what our priorities are and where should we be investing the most time in our life. What are the things that we have to do, like feed ourselves, and what are the things that we're doing because we've chosen to do, all those activities and involvements that we've chosen to do. If you're married, I think you should be constantly talking to each other about that and helping to bring each other back to where you know you want to be. If you're single, find somebody that you can talk about this with on a regular basis. I know with my daughter Amy, her and I have talked back and forth about this many times with both of our lives, just because we now know each other. We know what's important to each of us, and it's so good to bounce that off of somebody and listen when somebody's like, did you really need to do that? Did you really need to say yes to that? Remember the things we've talked about that are the most important? Are those the things that you are saying yes to? Are those the things that are on your plate? How many things are on your plate that shouldn't probably be there? Maybe they're for another time in your life, or maybe they're for never. But I think it's so important to have somebody that you're talking and checking on this with yourself, with another person regularly. So that being said, that this should be a question we're constantly asking ourselves to make sure that we're doing what we really want to be doing and what God's directed us to do. With that said, so many times we feel overwhelmed because we feel like there's nothing that we can let go of, and that if we do, something bad is going to happen, and perhaps that's true. In those spaces of life, I don't want to sound like a spiritual cop-out, but shame on us for thinking that this answer is a spiritual cop-out. seriously, you got to get on your knees and pray and ask God for wisdom. His word tells us over and over and over again, if we ask for wisdom, he will give it to us because he is all wise and all knowing. And the direction of our life should start there. So I would say, be on your knees, because when I've come to God in desperation, feeling like my plate is too full, I'm waking up with stress in the middle of the night, I'm stressed out all day, I'm probably not a nice person to many people around me because of the stress I'm carrying, because of the load I'm carrying. When I go to him seriously, I don't ever remember hearing his wisdom be an answer like, well, you just got to do all those things, and you're just not tough enough, or you're not good enough, or what? No, he doesn't answer that. He answers with amazing wisdom and can show me in a heartbeat the things that I'm putting pressure on myself for, that he has not asked me to do. He hasn't required it of me. Things that I can definitely let go of. When I had a house full of kids, he would show me in incredible wisdom where to spend my time, even with my kids, what kind of things to encourage them to let go of, being able to be watchful over them and seeing the stress in their lives for things that maybe are not necessary. So get on your knees before God and ask him for wisdom in this question that we ask ourselves the rest of our lives. Just because you're a grandma and you have gray hair and there aren't little kids running around your house doesn't mean you don't still struggle with this question. I certainly do. So find somebody that can continually weigh this with you, talk with you about it, who knows your heart and knows the things that are important to you, and get alone with God on your knees and ask him for wisdom. And gather support around you. Get people to pray for you when you feel overwhelmed, because life can be overwhelming. And I wish I had a magic answer of what could bring that all in order, but there really isn't one. It's an ideal time to press into God, ask for his strength and wisdom, ask for his grace and mercy to accomplish the things that you have to get accomplished. And then listen to what he says and cut out the things that he's saying might be a good idea to cut this out. Okay, I don't know if that was encouraging at all, but for me, that's the truth. And this is the Truth Booth. See you next time.